Well, excellent. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year, 2025.
Happy New Year.
I'm Happy New Year. I'm Simon T. I'm the chair for the Civil Service Commission, City of Tamil, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. And to begin, we would like to start with roll calling. Again, I'm Simon T., chair for the Civil Service Commission.
Michelle Sutherland, Secretary Examiner.
Pat Schneider, Commissioner.
Blake Chard, Commissioner.
Brian Hurley, Fire Chief.
John Kerman, Deputy Fire Chief.
Oh, I tell you, do you have issues with this as well? Okay.
Do we
Guess
see
I
have
can't
anyone
see
in the
both.
waiting room?
Let me look now. I think that might have been
With the
Pat.
Chief Wicks.
Yeah, Chief Wicks or somebody from police department?
Yeah, he's on screen there.
0 attendees. Good evening,
John-
Chief
John-
Wicks.
Yeah, Chief Wicks there.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we
Yes.
Okay, I had to switch computers. Sorry, I'm late.
No worries. Well, thank you. I think we have everyone in attendance, and then also with us today, we have the honor of the three young ladies from Black Hill High School. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Callista. I'm in 12th grade. I'm Emily. I'm also in 12th grade. I'm Giselle. I'm also in 12th grade.
Welcome.
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 So let's move on to agenda item number 3, changes to agenda. So do we have any proposed changes to the agenda?
I
Yeah.
do have one change to the agenda. Between number 10 and 11, there should be an update category. For some reason, when it's entered in Minicode, the template has been kicking that category back out. So I've been assured that the template will be corrected. So we're going to add updates between number 10 and 11.
Thank you, and we'll note that as agenda item number 10A.
Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to add a vote on a new Civil Service Commission chair to the agenda with today's announcement of Simon's T retirement. Do I have a second on that
I
motion?
think that is already in the agenda item number 10. We'll get to that later
Oh,
on.
okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So any other comments or suggestion for the agenda?
Nope.
No? Okay, if that case, let's move on to item number 4. Approval of minutes of the last meeting, which is minutes of December 12, 2024.
This is approval of November. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
That's correct. I think we do need a correction on this agenda item number 4. Instead of approval of minutes from November 14, 2024, we'd like to change that the November 14 to December the 12th, 2024.
Noted.
Agreed.
Do we have any motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I'd
I'll make a motion.
like to point out a clerical on the top of page 2. I'm called out as Commissioner Blake. I kind of like it, but we probably ought to change it to Chard.
Why can't I get down to that?
And motion
Page 2.
top of page 2, the of the minutes, the second page of the minutes.
Oh, page 2,
Yeah.
second
Okay,
page.
let me get to-
minutes.
The minutes.
Let me get to page 2 then.
Of the,
Page
yeah, the
4.
minutes.
Thank you. We will note that with the party that completes minutes for us. It is an external contractor.
Okay, let me get to that. Can't seem to get to the right page here. Yeah. All right, now I've got to the right page. Okay.
Any other comments or suggested changes?
I have none.
No, I have none. Can I make a motion to approve the minutes for December 12th?
Any motion for seconding the minutes for approval?
I'll second it.
And those of us who approve of the meeting minutes of December the 12th, 2024, say aye. Yay?
All right,
Aye?
Aye.
Or aye. So meeting minutes approved and adopted for December 12th, 2024. Let's move on to item number 5 of the agenda, eligibility list update. Chief Examiner Sutherland.
We have the January status of the civil service eligibility list that we currently have active. As you can see, we have active lists for fire battalion chief, firefighter, paramedic, entry-level firefighter, lateral paramedic firefighter, battalion chief, lateral firefighter, fire department assistant 2, and lateral fire prevention officer. The only lists that are currently active with the police department are the police officer list, both entry and lateral listings. And no other updates for this list.
Any question or comments, Commissioner?
Nope.
nope.
Thank you, Chief Examiner. And let's move to the next item, which is number 6 on the agenda, entry-level police eligibility.
Yes, we do have an entry-level police officer eligibility list with candidates that were added for January of 2025. Looks like we have 8 additions to the list and only 1 removed from the list. The 1 removed from the list was removed because they were hired. That would be Gary Kennedy. So seeking approval to add the 8 new names to the list for January of 2025 and approve the new list.
Any question or comments, Commissioner?
Nope.
No.
Any motion?
I move that we add the names as listed and approve the list.
And I'll second the motion.
And those of us who approve of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye,
So we have voted and approved the motion to adopt the police officer entry-level eligibility list. And then the next item on the agenda is number 7, lateral paramedic firefighter eligibility.
Yes, seeking approval for, I guess, we don't have anyone on the list for January of 2025. We do have 5 firefighters, or lateral paramedic firefighters that were removed from the list because they were hired by the department. And we had 2 that had failed the chief's interview. We have no additions to this list for January. seeking approval for the removal.
Any questions or comments, Commissioner?
I'd just like to show my appreciation or gratitude for the number they were able to hire.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
And,
we're very
and my question was, and this may have been Blake's question too, are we actively recruiting to add more to the list since a couple have failed?
I can address that if you want. I can address that, Commissioner. We do have, it's a continuous process. So we have applications in the queue that when we choose to do oral boards as the next step, we would then create or use the process that's in place to kind of replenish the list. We're in such a hiring phase right now, bringing our new employees on board. We're just not quite ready to do that yet. So we do have applicants in the queue that will in the future be bringing the commission to place on the list.
But as of now, there's no vacancies for the.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations on the 5 hires.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question, comments? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the list.
I'll make a motion to approve the list.
I'll
I second the motion.
second that motion.
And then those of us who approve of the motion say aye.
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 So the lateral paramedic firefighter eligible list is hereby approved. We'll move to item number 8. Paramedic firefighter eligible list.
Yes, seeking approval for the paramedic firefighter eligibility list. We did have 3 names from the list that did expire from the list. So their 12 months has passed and they've expired with no interest. So seeking approval.
Thank you. Any question, comments, commissioners?
Yeah, so the question I would have is, so do we have vacancies right now that we're actively recruiting for? Because these 3 are no longer on the list?
Again, it's a similar circumstance to the lateral. It's a continuous process. So there are applications that have been submitted that we have not moved on yet. So in the coming months, we'll likely be doing more oral boards, which will then create some folks who we will bring to you to hopefully place on the list in the future. Again, all of our paramedic firefighter positions are filled as of this time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Any motion to approve the list?
I move that we approve the paramedic firefighter list as presented.
And I will second that motion.
And those of us who approve of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Motion's approved. The paramedic firefighter eligible list is hereby adopted. Now we'll move to item number 9, which is reclassification of executive assistant from administrative assistant.
Correct. So we have a current administrative assistant in the role currently with the fire department, and her duties have changed to higher level support for executive leadership. So seeking approval to reclassify her position to executive assistant based on the workforce planning that Human Resources has been doing for the past year. The recommendation of the fire chief, who's worked for a very dedicated employee over the course of her time here. So seeking reclassification to better be in line with the duties that she is currently completing.
Thank you, Chief Examiner. I believe this item was brought up at the last meeting, and as requested by the commission, additional information, including the job descriptions for each position was provided to the commission for review, and I believe the commission have reviewed the job description. And are there any comments or questions or would like to discuss here?
Can I just add more context?
Sure.
It's been on my mind for some time that in my time in the department, the responsibilities of that position have changed. And with the workforce planning work and of course the biennial budget process, this seemed to be the best time to bring this forward. Michelle mentioned, much of it has to do with kind of the confidentiality aspect of the job and the tasks they're being asked to do now. So it really is about the position and how it's changed. We then looked at existing job class specifications within the city, and it appeared that the best match was the executive assistant. So we used the existing executive assistant job class specification and merged some of the things into that. And I appreciate some of the analysis I saw from Commissioner Snyder on that. So we did look at that, and we believe we were trying to just capture everything that position did. So in some ways we were kind of merging two. So I can see that maybe it's not perfect, but we didn't want to start over from scratch and create a whole new specification.
Yeah, and part of the workforce planning that we're doing at the city, 2025 is a review of every single class specification or position description for every position that we have, including all the essential functions, knowledge, skills, and abilities, certifications required, education required. So that is a project for 2025 when we will be, again, looking at every position very specifically and updating to reflect what we're doing now at the City of Tumwater in 2025.
Thank you for the additional information, Chief. Commissioners, for the record, would you like to discuss any observation that you have seen and differences between the two job classifications and comments you might have regarding them?
Yeah, if I could, and I believe this was shared with everyone too. When I looked at the two job descriptions to my naked eye, it was hard for me to make the comparison. So I used AI, some generative AI, to compare the two descriptions. And when I looked at them, it looked like the administrative assistant was encompassing broader departmental responsibilities, greater span of supervisory control, and also had higher educational requirements than the executive assistant. So, maybe I understand it's not all encompassing, but, that did, kind of, strike me as, okay, well, it seems like the administrative assistant position was almost a more robust position. So the question I have is, by moving it from administrative assistant to executive assistant, I'm assuming that's a promotion and that would be an increase in salary. And I was wondering in dollar amount, how much are we talking about and how many positions are we talking about? I think it was just one position. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is one position, and that is 2 pay bands above the current position.
So what does that mean in dollars?
In dollars, it would be a 10%, roughly 10% increase if you look at a yearly salary.
Over what base? So are we talking like 50,000? So it's $5,000 more? I'm trying to get the financial impact.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that information?
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at the 2025. I don't have my calculator at hand here.
My estimation would be approximately $7,000 in a year.
It looks like monthly. It looks like right around $600 a month.
Okay,
that's an approximation.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my concern, and you can tell me if I'm conflating this or not, but my concern is that everyone who's an admin assistant is going to want to now be promoted to an executive assistant. And I don't know how many positions that would affect in the city, but if it's, let's say, 10 positions, then 10 times 7,000, that's $70,000 a year hit if that were to happen. I'm just concerned about setting a precedent. So that's why I want to make sure that, you know, we've really done our homework and that we really have good justification for this particular position and why this particular position warrants this reclassification, so that we don't create a precedent where we're going to have other individuals in the, you know, within the city of Tumwater wanting that same promotion, and if they don't get it, feeling disgruntled, quitting, whatever, because I know we always have hiring challenges. So I just want to make sure that we done our homework.
Yes, administrative assistants are specific to each particular department. So that, you know, that would not be a possibility. So this is the administrative assistant specific to the fire department, and it's a civil service position, covered position. It does not apply to any other administrative assistant in the city. You know, and just for comparison, the police department does have a police administrative manager that does handle, you know, all of the duties of the executive assistant, plus many, many more confidential and support duties on top of that. The fire department is without that position. So in approving an executive assistant as a promotion to an administrative assistant, that would be greatly helpful to the fire department as to what they need right now according to workforce planning and the duties that they need covered within the position that is there. So that is why we're asking for a reclass for the one civil service administrative assistant fire position to be reclassified to executive assistant.
Okay. And then to the, you know, and the chief can probably respond to this. I think you got my analysis. And, you know, according to, you know, the comparison, it looked like the admin assistant had broader departmental responsibilities, supervised, you know, greater number of people, and had higher educational requirements than the executive assistant. Was that an incorrect analysis?
I don't think it's incorrect. I think if, you know, I understand this AI analysis, you know, parsed each one out. And I think it's both, you know, as I'm reading through these things, it is department specific and broad. You know, this analysis you shared with me just kind of said it was one or the other. It's really both. As far as the educational requirements, I did look at that. The administrative assistant was worded in a way that an associate's degree, that was in there as a requirement, but it said it could be met by other knowledge, skills, and experience. Whereas in the executive assistant, it's not listed as a requirement, but it's a preferred qualification. So I understand how that could be, you know, seen as a different requirement. It's certainly preferred in both cases, but it's not required in both cases.
And that, again, that's part of we're looking individually at every class spec for the city in 2025. That's a project because they have not been gone through and looked at and analyzed in a very long time.
So again, I think I'm sorry I think that's just a consequence of us trying to use an existing job class specification rather than creating an entirely new one and just updating that for fire.
Yeah. I mean, you may want to use AI as you're going through your analysis in 2025, because it's pretty easy to use, and it really does kind of pinpoint what, you know, where there may be shortfalls or, you know, gaps in current descriptions. So I mean,
our city attorney has banned us from using AI until we develop policies surrounding that. So we
really?
are
Okay.
not allowed to. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, good to know. But again, I guess, you know, I still just have some concerns on this, but you know, let me open up the discussion to the other two commissioners if they've got any concerns at all.
Commissioner Chuck, do you have any comments or concerns?
Yeah, I don't have any concerns. I went through it. I've worked with job classifications and job descriptions for many years, especially in government. The language on requirements, now I don't know if it's this case here, but that is kind of the language that is used now. You know, a minimum, but we want an associate. So that gives the hiring agent opportunity to look at the experience and knowledge of an applicant that may be able to be a better candidate than someone that's just coming out of with an associate. The other thing is it's sometimes difficult to find enough people that have associates that are willing to take that job. They tend to think that they need a better job and higher pay, and they're more reluctant to go after a job if it's only requires a high school or GED. And so that is the language I understand. It. I know the state's gone to that, so that it's the minimum requirements and then have a preferred. So.
Mhm.
Chief Sutherland and Chief Hurley, are there any criteria that define the differences between the two positions, like in terms of complexity of the duties, in terms of the importance or decision-making type of nature? Are there any criteria that differentiate the two categories of position here?
I would say yes. You have them in front of you, Greg.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just say, the chief examiner put together kind of the rationale and went through some of those items, strategic support, confidentiality.
Mhm.
This list kind of captures, I think, what you're speaking of, kind of the justification, kind of the additional things that that I believe that this position does that historically hadn't.
So let's make it, for the record, we'll enter the document you're citing here in minutes. That way we'll have reference to it.
I believe it was provided
It is,
in the
It's
packet.
provided, okay. So can you elaborate a little bit more in terms of those? I mean, every single one of the criteria is the executive position generally higher in terms of the complexity, in terms of the importance and nature of decision making? Can you go through that?
I can just give a couple examples for me personally that help support me in my job. One would be labor negotiations. Historically, the administrative assistant hadn't been directly involved in negotiations. We use a collaborative interest-based bargaining model now, and it's important for us to have staff there to really support us in keeping track of what's going on so we can all actively participate. So those are, confidential processes that we need that staff member there for. Another example would be some of our contract negotiations. We have pretty significant agreements with Thurston County and Medic One to support, as you know, 28 of our staff in the fire department. And there's a fair amount of interaction there between us and Thurston County with regards to those agreements. And again, just a higher level of support that's needed that really wasn't in the past.
Yeah, and that's out of the scope of the administrative assistant position.
So,
and that
so
would-
what does the executive assistant do versus the admin assistant with those particular duties? Are they like leading discussions, or they're just handling more confidential documents? Could you clarify that for me?
I wouldn't say necessarily leading discussions, but they certainly participate in discussions, with regards to say the impacts of certain proposals and how they might impact the department, just from a administrative operating standpoint. So
To
again,
the point of actually doing the data analysis and providing that to the team. So they're doing that analysis, which is confidential.
Which the administrative assistant doesn't do. So there's a data analysis responsibility difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I saw that in the job.
I mentioned Medic One as well. We do have, and even in fact coming up in 2025, we have negotiations for our advanced life support agreement that supports our 28 medics. And I would anticipate our administrator, or our hopefully executive assistant, but administrative assistant would be involved in supporting those negotiations. And again, to the point of even helping prepare proposals, which are confidential in nature.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking for that in this.
Yeah, I think that would come under some of the contract support there. Yeah.
I see,
So,
collective bargaining,
you-
okay.
I understand what you said, the executive assistant generally handles more confidential nature of information or type of work,
Yes.
from
That's my
meetings
understanding.
to
Yeah.
contract that contain confidential information.
Yeah.
It
We're
sounds
looking
like handling more negotiations, more collective bargaining, more contracts, things like that. So if I'm understanding that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they're not the lead in that, but they're certainly intertwined in those efforts. And, we need their support in that. Yeah.
So
So
you
they're
think,
part of the team. There's a part of the negotiation team versus the admin assistant, which isn't. Is that correct?
I think that's one way you could characterize it. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I guess I didn't.
correct
come
to say
to
that it is not necessarily the amount of job duties or the broadness of the job duties, but it's the type of job and the nature of the job that involve confidentiality, which require considered as a higher level kind of duty.
Yeah. And again, when we looked at existing job class specs in the city, the executive assistant position as it currently existed addressed the, kind of that confidential aspect of the position in the description.
What about supervision of staff?
Yeah.
Is one supervise a higher category of position than the other one?
Well, right, and one thing that Commissioner Snyder brought up, one of the difference was I think I had worded it in the executive assistant that this position supervised the department assistant. That may have been too specific. I would, it's probably they more broadly supervise other support staff in the fire department, because in the future we could have more than one department assistant that we have right now. So.
Yeah, because when I looked at the two, it looked like it was more like a shift of responsibilities, whereas the admin assistant had, was across a lot of departments, had a greater span of supervisory control, versus the executive assistant, which was going to be more focused on the fire department, and was going to be, it was more like a shift in responsibilities than an expansion. So that's where I'm still kind of struggling to understand how it's a higher level position.
Yeah, and I would just say, I think that's again a consequence of trying to add the fire department specific responsibilities to an existing job class specification. Maybe there's a different way we could have approached it, but I can see how you view it that way. That that wasn't necessarily the intent. But yeah, we ended up adding many of the fire department specific things to the existing executive assistant description.
Would it make sense to add the more of the higher level supervisory or confidentiality responsibilities in the job description then?
I believe it would, yes.
We've done that a bit, but it could be expanded on. And I guess for me, my hope would be that that could be part of the 2025 effort as we look at all the job classifications within the city, to really maybe fine tune this in a way that, gets more specific. Yeah, that's obviously up to you here at the commission.
Yeah, because it's just when I look at the administrative assistant, I even see that it says administrating complex contracts for compliance. And then when I look at the executive assistant, I don't see that it's necessarily a higher level of confidentiality or, an expanded role or a role at a higher level. That's where I'm still just trying to understand how this warrants an increase in salary.
Do you have any other concern, Commissioner Schneider? aside from the,
Yeah, well, other than I just don't, the way I look at it, it looks like it's, it's kind of just shifting responsibilities, but I still don't see a real clear distinction of a higher level position of the executive assistant versus the administrative assistant. So that's just where I'm wondering if it would make sense to, update the executive assistant to better reflect what the job truly is.
now, aside from that, you mentioned something about, was it you or Commissioner Chart mentioned something about the concern that if we were to upgrade this position from administrative assistant to executive assistant, that might prompt other staff holding the same position.
Yes, that was me, Commissioner T. Yes, that was me. That was my concern, that we'd set a precedent.
Yeah, and my response to that was that this is a completely as a civil service covered position, the only one within the department. So that does not cross over to the administrative assistants in the rest of the city working for every other department. It's fire specific only.
Yeah, but I mean, employees talk, so, that was my concern, is that they may find out what, that this one role was elevated, and then it may just cause a precedent for other individuals who are city workers to also want to request an elevation in title. So that is just the concern I have.
Yeah, I hear your concern. I don't believe that would be the case with the city. There's a formal process for a reclassification request that would need to go through department supervisors to be approved. This is a reclassification request based on what the employee is currently performing at. She's performing above the level of an administrative assistant, handling all of these duties for the fire department.
Do you happen to know how many administrative assistant and how many executive assistants we have within the city of Tumwater working, outside the fire department?
We have one confidential executive assistant working for the mayor, the city council, and the city administrator, which again is that confidential aspect.
Mhm.
And I believe there are 5 others throughout the city in varying departments. Not
Are executives or admins?
administrative assistants.
Okay.
So we have a total of 5
we have-
administrative assistants
Yeah.
and 1 executive assistant.
Yes. Which does handle all the confidential, complex duties for the city council, the city administrator, and the mayor, similarly to the complex and confidential duties for fire that we are asking for the reclassification for.
If I could, Commissioner T, this is something I had brought up with the mayor and the city administrator as part of the budget process as well, knowing that there would be impacts. And so it was supported by the mayor and the city administrator, and any accommodation for this with regards to pay, it's already approved in the city budget.
Yes.
It's nothing going to be added on top of what's already been approved.
It's good to know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So the $7,000 increase has been approved budget-wise.
Yes, it was approved by city council in the budget and supported by the city administrator and the mayor.
Okay. All right.
Proof
Well,
of
I think I'd just like to go on record that I would want this job description, updated in 2025 to probably better reflect the higher level of confidentiality and to help with a greater justification for the increase in salary and also better distinction between the executive assistant and administrative assistant. So.
Understood. Again, it's just trying to merge, not starting from scratch using the existing. I can understand your concern, and we can certainly work to merge the two better as we update those in 2025.
Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner,
great.
would you like to make a motion as to what's next step? Like, would you like to propose a further revision of or review of the job description prior to making the recommendation, or do you want to go straight into some, making a motion to recommend approval of the reclassification?
Well, I personally would like to see a revised job description. But I don't know if you want to have further discussion on that, or what, Commissioner Chard thinks, or what you, Commissioner T, feel.
Well, we just need to, if you, is how you feel, if you want to make a motion, we'll entertain a motion to see.
Okay.
Support the motion.
Okay, well, I'd like to make a motion that I'd like to see a revised job description to further clarify the higher level of confidentiality that's required in this job to better distinguish it from the administrative assistant position description.
Do we have a second to the motion? I second the motion. Those who approve of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Chard, you are on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me figure out why I got on mute. Hold on.
No,
hold
that's
on.
me. That was me.
It was Commissioner Chard, not you, Commissioner
Oh,
Schneider.
okay. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, before I do a second, I'd like to ask the chief the impact of delaying this process through the department.
Really
We have a
operationally,
follow-up question.
yeah. I would say operationally, there's not a direct impact. It's just this has been a process that we've been trying to push through, and so no direct operational impact.
And my follow-up question is, does the commission have authority to request a new classification or an update? Or is it only that when you present it to us?
It is when it is presented to the commission by staff.
Okay, with that, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. And those of us who approve of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. So let's note that, the commissioner requests an update of the job classification for clarity.
Okay, that is noted, and we will bring that to the next meeting.
Thank you.
So let's move to the next item on agenda, which is 10A, the new agenda item 10A, which is updates.
We'll go to number 10, election.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped 10.
Yes.
Let's go to action, item number 10, election of commissioner chair. So Commissioner, does any of you have would like to nominate a candidate for the chair position?
I would like to nominate Blake Chard.
And I'd like to second the nomination. And those of us who support the nomination say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Commissioner Chard, congratulations.
No, thank you.
Congratulations.
We'll see if it was the right decision on my part.
Congratulations.
So let's go to item number 10A, which is an update. Chief Sutherland.
Yes. The only update I have this evening is for all members of the commission to be aware of the Public Meetings Act and not be in violation of that with sharing emails as a group. So.
Yeah, just noted, and it's good to thank you for noting that, and as part of the open public meeting regulation or rules, that we generally do not discuss any matters involving the city's business, especially involving the commission's business outside of the meeting. So that's the reason why I kind of reintroduce some of the subject or issue for discussions at this meeting, so that it will be recorded.
Thank you. I don't have any other updates.
Just real quickly, we have 10 new firefighter paramedics who are on board. As of 3 were in December, 7 on January 2nd was their first day, and today was their first day of the Advanced Life Support Academy. So 6 weeks of kind of paramedic refresher. 5 of them will then come back because they're already firefighter trained. The other 5 will go to the fire academy. So we're very excited to have the new staff on board, and on our way to staffing the county's 8th medic unit come the first of the year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for your support in that.
Thank you. Chief Wick, do you have anything you want to update?
Sure. First of all, I just want to, I sent you an email, Simon, but I want to thank you for your service personally. The dedicated service to both the police and fire departments over the last several years. It's been a real pleasure working with you, and I just wish you the best in whatever your next chapter is in where you're going. So I hope you enjoy what's ahead of you. And then to the other members, first of all, I apologize. I don't know what Deputy Chief Mason's told you. I've been on medical leave, and I'm currently still on medical leave. So I wasn't really prepared for tonight, but I hope I'm not repeating too much of what Deputy Chief Mason's already told you. I know really good news. Yari Kennedy is already scheduled for the academy, and he starts, I believe it's been moved up to January 22nd. So only a couple weeks away, which is fantastic. Not too long ago, we were looking at 6 to 8 months to get somebody into the academy. So getting it down to 2 is great news for all of us, especially in the hiring process and just how long it takes to get police officers on board. So that's great news. We hired a lateral candidate, Casey Steffenhagen, and trying to get her up to speed. The biggest thing with her is going to be getting equipment, and especially the body armor for, like everything else we experience, there's a lot of delays. And so until we can get her body armor, we can't get her on the streets and into the FTO program. So we're looking forward to it. We think she's going to be a great addition to the department. And then we only, I believe, have 2 more openings. And I believe we have 2 background investigations going on. So we just continue to work through those things. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate the update and congratulations. And sorry to hear about your medical condition. And I hope you're doing well, and I wish you good health. And
Thank you.
thanks again for your good words and good wishes to me. And it's been a privilege working and serving along with you and everyone here in the city. And I will miss working with you.
Well, we have something for you here, Commissioner T. Unfortunately, the mayor couldn't be with us tonight, but I do want to thank you on behalf of everyone here in the city, Chief Wicks, myself, all of our staff, and the mayor. Thank you for your dedicated service for the years 2010 through 2025. Much appreciation, and we want to show that through the certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been an honor. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I like I say, it's been a pleasure working with every one of you in the city. It's one way for me to really be connected to the city, the community that I lived in, and I really enjoy the time I'm working with you. I wish you all well as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I add one thing? I should have greeted Commissioner Schneider. I look forward to working with you, and look forward to actually meeting you in person someday.
Oh, thank you. Same here. And I wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And with that, let's get to item number 11, which is the meeting date for next meeting, February the 13th, 2025. Will that work for everyone, Commissioner?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Should work for me.
Well, next meeting will be February 13, 2025. With that, I'd like to adjourn the meeting, and any motion for adjournment of the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
And those of us who agree on adjournment of the meeting, say aye.
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 Aye, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending the meeting.
Yes,
hope you learned
thank you for
something.
attending.
Thank you, and happy retirement, Simon.
Thank you. I'm retired from here, but